Ciao a tutti, buona domenica. We're going to do something that we haven't done in quite a while, and that is take your questions. It could be questions just about anything here in Sicily. It's mid-February, and we just had San Agata last week, which is one of the biggest festivals. About 1 million people descended on downtown Catania. San Agata is our patron saint. And then we have Carnevale going on. What are you having for your Carnevale sweet?
Hi, my name is Mr. Wong.
What are you having for your Carnevale sweet?
Tiptoe through the tulips.
Al, let's stay on point. Chiacchiera, this happens to be a pistachio one. They have chocolate ones. They have the powdered one. This is a typical sweet here for Carnevale.
That's how you can tell you're getting closer to Christmas. As soon as you see the chit chats coming out. That's
What do you
call
mean
it.
Christmas?
I mean,
Carnevale.
spring. Okay, I see those guys come out. I see strawberries come out, and I'm gonna start getting my shorts on pretty soon. I don't mind telling you that much.
Not today, though. Not today. All right. So we're going to get to some questions. You guys left us questions on Facebook and also left us questions on YouTube. And we're going to get to all of these in just a second. And I want to start out with a question that is very interesting, let's say. Denise DeMarco, longtime friend and supporter, question: several of my Sicilian cousins have been concerned to learn some Italian companies are using cricket. Yeah, you heard right. Insect flour in their products. Have you heard of this? If so, what are your thoughts? Thanks. So now let me tell you that what happened is that there is a company in Marche that was given the okay by the government to, yeah, when I just cringe and just, I don't even know, terrible, use insects as part of the flowers. Now, obviously that has brought up a ton of outrage from a lot of people. But on the other side, they say it's more environmentally friendly. It has high protein. So, you know,
10 times the B12 than salmon.
But let's just be clear.
No CO2
That's not
emission.
Italian. That's not Italian, and that's not Sicilian. That's my opinion about that.
Listen, first of all, did you know that it takes 4,200 crickets to make 1 pound of cricket pasta?
He researched this.
Can you? I mean, not the pasta; it's a powder. Number two. Can a vegan eat crickets? I mean, vegans eat vegetables, right? Crickets are alive.
I can't even believe we're talking about
is that
this.
an animal protein? But I'll tell you what, the best thing that happened is this happened on January 31st. The company got okay, right? But Barilla came out the next day, says, we will never use cricket powder. And the simplest thing, like Poyati does, come on. It says right over here, 100% Durham Sicilian semolina. Now, who the heck in their right mind is going to use crickets? What is this, Soylent Green? Is this Soylent Green?
But wait a second, there may be other cultures that use them. I know other countries, they have. I'm not saying it's a great thing. It's never going to fly here in Italy.
Oh,
for sure.
Never going to fly cricket powder? Good one.
In any case, what do you think? Listen, and this all has to do also with, you know, you've seen that the farmers are protesting all over Europe. And yes, they're protesting here in Sicily. And there's a number of issues happening around that. You know, there's the EU regulations. There's fears that non-Italian, non-EU products will be brought in. Of course, fuel prices are skyrocketing. And I think, in my opinion, you know, this goes all to the food changing here in Sicily. And and Italy. In my opinion, the farmers are one of our most important people. They are what keeps the fruits, the vegetables, the olives, all the produce that is so important and so healthy for a country. And for us here in Sicily, we're so fortunate that there are still so many farmers. But not only are fuel prices, but there were natural disasters. We had the fires. We are, by the way, even though it's raining a little bit today, we have an official drought going on in Sicily because it hasn't rained in several months, like good rain. So these farmers are really facing difficult things, and bringing in crickets into the flour is just not adding to the whole food production story, in my opinion.
Listen, it's not just high food prices that are afflicting Italy and Sicily and the European Union. It's afflicting the world. Come on, are you kidding me? I was shocked. I mean, I even mentioned it to Esther when we went food shopping this week. We went to 3 different markets this week. That I noticed that the prices are going up on stuff. Stuff that was usually say €2 is now €2.70, something like that. Going up. And I could just imagine how it is in the States. I know everything is going up in the States. So who do we blame? Is there such a blame? I don't know if there can be a blame, but I think all these regulations about CO2 emissions that are just starting to going into effect are, we're going to feel it down the road. And, everybody's laughing, everybody's laughing about cricket powder. Like I've been laughing about that for a couple of days. I think it's, funny, but, I don't put anything past anybody anymore. Okay. Who the hell knows? I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen? What regulations they're going to let go? I mean, if someone says, to the government, this thing over here is 50 times less CO2 emissions. Like say a guy like, for example, John Kerry says that, and, and he parks his plane and then he says that, and then all of a sudden he starts eating cricket powder.
All right.
They might do it. Who knows?
In any case, this whole thing about, at the end of the day, Sicily is much cheaper than the rest of Italy and much cheaper than the United States. So still, it's not a huge thing. $1.99 for 2
This
pounds.
is a kilo of barilla. Barilla is very good pasta. This is manufactured in Italy, 100% Italian flour, right? This costs, it's usually €1.99 for 2.2 pounds. This was on sale for €1.25. That's like $1.35. Poyati pasta has been on sale too. Now, why is that important? That's because Sicilians eat pasta quite a bit, not as heavy as we do in terms of size portions, but 3, 4, 5 times a week they'll eat pasta.
I would say almost daily.
And could be daily too. And here's the thing, a family has pasta and then they simply put olive oil on it and they'll put a vegetable on it, and you could feed a family of 4 quite inexpensively here in Sicily.
In fact, right now, Al, the big thing, cauliflower, broccoli.
Right. Those are all coming out.
You boil them and you have the pasta. But let me ask Lisa Yanusil, who is, by the way, the author of that cute little book, Ceci in Sicily. Hi,
Lisa.
This may be a weird request, but I'm curious on how they make meatballs there. When I went there a few years ago, I took a few cooking classes and they put mortadella in the meatballs and they were more flat. That was in Palermo. They turned out delicious. Also, what pasta is preferred by most Sicilians? Is there a lot more? Okay, so let's start with that, with meatballs.
I think the answer is, for meat, to make a meatball, you have to tell it a sad story. Ball, get it? Cry, meatball. Oh, I mean, if you want to put in raisins, you could put in raisins.
No, I mean, here in Sicily, they do the meatball. And by the way, not in restaurants.
Egg. They call them polpettes.
Not in restaurants. They do it as specialty shops. And you know why not in restaurants? Because every nonna is making it in the house, or every mom.
Can I tell
They put pine nuts, raisins, for sure, an egg, and olive oil.
Egg, a little bit of breadcrumbs.
Yes.
And then you salt and pepper. Some people put in Parmesan cheese. Some people don't. Some people do. Okay. And then you form it into a ball. Now, here's where the dichotomy exists seriously. Some people brown the outside of the meatball. They fry it very lightly until it's brown and then drop it into the meat sauce. Other people don't. Other people take the raw meatball and they put it right into the sauce. But it's very difficult, if not impossible, to find spaghetti and meatballs in any restaurant, except if it's a tourist trap. And I think that's one of the ways as that you can tell if it's a tourist trap. If they're selling
I have never been
spaghetti and
in
meatballs.
any
Or chicken
restaurant,
parmigiana. You're not going to find chicken
any
parmigiana.
restaurant in Sicily, anywhere. All right, let me go to the next question.
Good question, though.
Yeah. Oh, Elisa also wanted to know if there were any more TV and video series. We don't know. I haven't seen anyone here since the White Lotus filming. But let me tell. Oh, and there was the one by Tommaso Lampedusa, The Leopard, was also
what's
filmed.
that guy's name that came here?
Tommaso-
Stanley Tucci came here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a few years
And
ago.
I remember he offended some Sicilians by saying something. Who the heck knows? Oh, I know what it was. He was mentioning the mafia or something. Is that what it was?
I don't know.
Anyways, whatever he said, I didn't pay any attention, except I went back and I watched that particular segment. And I left and I said, well, look, here's a guy flies in with a camera crew, right? Wouldn't probably be able to find Sicily. And then all of a sudden he's making a documentary on it, right? Now I understand he's coming again. So here's my invitation to Stanley Tucci, okay? You come with Esther and Alfred for 1 day or 2 days, Stanley Tucci, and we will show you the essence of what Sicily's all about, okay? We will show you what to eat. We'll show you the people, because I don't think I've ever met in my 24 years here a real mafioso guy, okay? That's not what Sicily is.
Oh,
okay. That's
no.
not,
That
right.
was
The Sicilian people
think
are the
his
most
story-
wonderful and general people. So I have a thing on the table. I'm throwing the gauntlet down.
Okay.
Stan, give us a call, youmeandsicily.com. I'll meet you at the airport and I'll buy the first gelato. How does that sound?
Hazel says, I'm arriving on March 30th. Will things be closed for
March
the
30th.
Easter holiday? So yeah, shops will be closed because we have Sunday,
And then you have the
Easter, and
small
then you
Easter.
have
Piccolo.
Pasquetta,
Yeah.
which is on Monday, and generally things are closed. I'm not talking about like restaurants and things like that, but a lot of things are closed. Let me,
Right. Restaurants will be open for sure.
restaurants, of course,
Right,
will be open.
absolutely.
Most tourist places will definitely be open. Okay, so now let me go over to YouTube and see what we have here. Nice to see everyone here. Let me go. So we had a question from Ellen and Dawn. Ciao, Ellen and Dawn from Canada. This is interesting. Just wondering if Sicily and or Italy in general have restrictions as to when the air conditioning is turned on and off in hotels. We ran into an issue last year when it was unusually warm towards the end of May, but the AC wasn't turned on in our hotel until the day we left on May 31st. The hotel, this was in North Italy. We really didn't need an AC in Sicily.
Typically, want me to answer it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Typically speaking, the hotels here are on central air. Very, very rarely will you find, the controls. Maybe in the summertime once they kick it in, but in May, they're not going to kick in the AC. And it's the same thing with the heat. Usually the heat, you can't put the heat on after, I think it's May 15th to May 30th, whatever the date is.
October 15th is when you can officially turn
That's when
it
you
on.
can officially turn it on. In October, by the beginning of May, middle of April, that's it for the heat. And why do they do that? Because of the profound expense. You guys think it's expensive in the United States to heat a house. Don't forget, we don't have anything in our walls. We don't have insulation. There's no insulation here. There's just concrete and reinforced steel rods, and that's it. So, and we get charged all sorts of extra stuff on our utility bills, so like transportation costs, a value-added tax of between 10 and 15%. And by the time you add it all up, that's going to outstrip the abilities of simple Sicilian folks to even have any heat at all in their house. So what they try to do is
And the same
so-
thing with the air conditioning in the summer when it got too hot. Remember last year, I think there were a few days in October that it was too hot and people want to put the air
Yeah.
conditioning on. And what the government did is in certain areas of Italy, they had a certain temperature that you could raise the air conditioner.
Well, not only that, too, the grid infrastructure, especially in Sicily, is not exactly, up to whatever it is. I mean, it overburdens the grid, and several times a day.
Power outages.
We have power outages.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you have that stuff.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Recently, I found your channel after I began doing genealogy research. You all are great at this. Grazie mille.
Yeah.
I'm a subscriber now. Thank you. Oh, and if you're watching it, if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. It's not going to cost you a penny, but it helps us a lot. Okay. My ancestors were, okay. I would like to know what South Cefalù is like. My ancestors were farmers there and helped get some of their children to Louisiana around 1900s when they were 20 something. They all started up fruit carts, then fruit stores, and did well there in the States. Do you know anyone with the name of Forte or Guercio or Scittino, if I'm maybe butchering these, or Di Francesca? I'll tell you what, our local guides in Cefalù may know some of those names. We don't personally know any one of those last name. Any of those last names ring familiar?
That whole area is a beautiful area. I mean,
Any of those last names?
Cefalù is a beautiful, Di Francesco. There's a million Di Francescos in the United States. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
In the United States, in New England, there's Di Francesco, Di Francesca. Okay,
Yeah.
plenty. You ought to go look. You can hire an Italian genealogist, by the way, and do a rundown on that. But that area, Cefalù, of course, is magical. As you go from Cefalù west, and you go into on the way to Palermo, that ride is beautiful.
Yeah.
If you go east towards Messina and go by Capo Orlando, that ride is beautiful. That whole area is beautiful. And if you go into the mountains, which would be south of Cefalù, that area is
Castelbuono and
spectacular as well. Okay, so it's a rich, lush area.
It's one of our favorite towns.
It's one of our favorite places. Down below of Cefalù is what's that place called? Campo Felice di Rocella. Beautiful beach area, nice beaches over there as well. So it's a great area. And my suggestion to you is come on over.
Exactly.
Okay? Find your roots, come on over.
It's one of the most gratifying things.
Yep.
Trust me, we've taken a lot of people. Okay, Ray wants to know, best airline from Boston to Catania, only one stop. Lots of airlines doing that.
Delta.
There's Air France, Delta, there's Swissair, there's Lufthansa, and I've recently been using Turkish Air, and I've loved it. 3 years now. I will never, mark my word, never ever fly Alitalia, also known as right now ITA. Will never fly them.
Well, United comes here, American comes here, Delta comes here, Air France comes here, British Airways comes here, Lufthansa comes here, as she said. There's a lot of them. Some of them are good, some of them aren't so good. What can we say? It depends on if there's a strike or not. So that's the other thing you have to watch out for. Who's on strike today?
Jody and Ispi, and by the way, they just had a train and travel.
Where?
Friday they had a protest. They're always protesting, always. Jody says there are protests in Modica again this weekend. I want to say too that the farmers here have a little bit of different grievances than the farmers up north. In fact, one of the leaders of the protest, the farm protest, says, don't put us in the same basket as the farmers up north. We have different issues. But I do have to say that Giorgia Meloni, the prime minister, did give farmers just a few days ago, she repealed one of the taxes because she felt the pressure, obviously, from the farmers. So, and gave them some, a couple of their requests she did fold and give in to them.
Most of the land here, the farming land, I think it's 75% was the statistic I saw, is owned by giant agro businesses. Okay, I mean, if you go on the plains of Catania, between Catania and Palermo, on both sides, left and right, virtually all of it is owned by agribusinesses. Okay, and you won't see any people there. You'll see farming equipment, but you won't see people. Where do you see the people and the small farmers? On the slopes of all the mountains, for example, in Etna. Okay, that's all locals.
That's why our place that we go to, the Four Corners, where I get
Yeah.
my oranges, my
Everything. You
lemon,
get everything
my
there, yeah.
everything. Actually, I was going to talk about something else. Ginger, believe it, avocado, like a lot of tropical fruits are coming, mangoes and things like that. Those guys, I mean, literally, and if you've seen the videos that I've done, it goes literally from the farm to the shop to our house, less than 1 kilometer.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look, we've been here so
These
long.
guys are the important ones to support, and that's why Alfred and I rarely, sometimes we do buy fruits and vegetables in the supermarket. Mostly we like to support these local farmers, and we spread the love, not just
And
one.
a lot funny. It's kind of funny either. Most of the vegetables in the supermarket, right? Like the big markets, the big one, those come from Italy. They it'll say it won't be Sicily, and you can tell in 2 seconds flat the difference between something that is homegrown, 0 kilometer or very close to 0 kilometer here, and stuff that comes from Italy or from other countries. Now, here's a hilarious thing. My favorite bananas, believe it or not, Chiquita bananas. Where are they from? Central America.
And you like those
The
better than
African
the
bananas,
Sicilians.
they should be arrested for impersonating bananas. Believe me, they have no taste.
Actually,
They're
and
awful.
the Sicilian ones too.
The
They're-
Sicilian ones are good. They're small. They're only about that big, 4 or 5 inches big, and they only come up for a few weeks. But if like I like to have a banana for potassium every day as a source of potassium, and when they only have the African bananas, I'm like, oh my God, no taste.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Colleen says, what, I love this question, by the way.
Okay.
What do people over 60 do for fun and recreation? Do they exercise, run, bike? What's the social life like for singles over 60?
Over 60?
So let me say that, believe it or not, Sicilians are incredibly active. In fact, in a lot of places along the Lungomare, which is the road that runs along the water, everywhere they're putting in bike and running paths. And this is sort of in the past, maybe 4 or 5 years, but it is very usual to see Sicilians biking. It's a very big biking community, lots of runners. Of course, there are people, they play soccer and so forth, but a very, very active community. And you can see people of all ages. And I'm not talking, just 20s, 30s and college kids, but also in their 60s, in their 70s. I have a good friend. She's 84. She walks every day. It's very much part of the community. And I love to see that.
Well, listen, the question was people over 60, right?
Right.
Now, I know that in every single solitary community, big and small, throughout Sicily, they all have churches, the Duomo areas, and they have piazzas there. And chances are excellent that every night after dinner, you'll see a lot of the old timers with sport jackets on and ties, with their hands behind their back, going for their daily walk.
What's
Okay?
the jack?
There's a lot of walking that goes on by everybody. I don't usually see women do that. Okay, going for walks with their husband, for example. I see men. The women's activities for all, to answer your specific question, it depends on where you are. Are you in a central city area? Well, if that's the truth, well, Catania, Taormina, many cities have vibrant nightlife for seniors. Okay, but if you're in a small little mountain community, it's not as vibrant as it is obviously in an urban area. So that to answer your question, really, if you're a female over 60 years old, number one is your location. Location is the most important thing. But I'm telling you one thing, no matter what you do, okay, your community will have churches, plural, plenty of churches. And there's plenty to do.
And
They're very vibrant, these churches, in terms of community activity and stuff like that. So you could find something to do, believe me.
And Alfred, not only that, but the associations, they have art stuff, they have poetry reading, they
right.
have music. I mean, there's something for everyone,
Yep.
even in the small towns. But when you asked about biking and running and exercising, there's lots of gyms too, by the way. An unbelievable amount of gyms have popped up, even since I first came 10
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah. So there's plenty to do.
Okay, our friend Crystal, dating coach. Ciao, ragazzi. Where's the most beautiful beaches near Palermo or the most beautiful mare in Sicily? I'm living near Mondello, 20 minutes from Palermo. It's bellissimo. A domani. Thank you for that.
That's a great place.
That's a great Mondello, that area. So I had this conversation. I did a consult this morning, and they love the beach, and they were asking me about beaches and so forth. And this is basically what I said. San Vito Lo Capo is great because it is just a beautiful strip of white sand against the backdrop of the mountain, and you have beautiful crystal blue sea. It's wonderful there.
Yep.
The problem with San Vito Lo Capo, which is one of the most beautiful, it's very remote, and besides the couscous festival and their patron saint, there's that main road, there's shops, there's restaurants, and so that's one
Too
good area.
Too touristy.
Especially for the couscous festival, but not even that, but a lot of Sicilians go there too because it's a beautiful beach. I think some of the most beautiful beaches here in Sicily are to the south of us in the province of Syracuse. Places like Fontana Bianca, San Lorenzo.
Those are the two best
even
ones.
the Lidos up by Noto. All
Yeah.
those waters. It's really like, I remember the first time we went there, I was like, this feels like a little bit of a Caribbean feel.
Absolutely.
So that's my opinion on
There
that.
you go. I agree 100%. I want to talk about what Pete Scipoletti says. He says, well, what about the bees? Okay, what about the bees?
Good question.
Now, it's funny you mentioned that, Peter.
He said farmers are very important, bees as well.
Yeah. Europe is having an infestation of the Asian wasp. Have you heard about that? The Asian wasp, which is a little bit bigger than a bumblebee, so to speak. And what they do is they attack the bumblebees. Okay, they're not these really aggressive ones, but the United States doesn't have the problem. They've snagged every single nest coming in to the United States, so it's not a problem. But it is a problem here in Italy.
Not in Sicily, though.
Not in Sicily.
Not in Sicily.
In Italy.
In fact, here in Sicily, I have to tell you that over places like Zafferana, Etnea, and the Etna towns, honey is one of the most important products that they have here, because they have also very different types of honey. They have the orange honey, the lemon honey, the chestnut honey, and I'm talking not the nut, but the flowers from the chestnut. They have the black bee honey, which is a bee that's indigenous to Etna, and other herbal types of honey. So honey, that's not a big concern here.
Before I was interrupted by giving her an exposition on honey, I was talking about the Asian potential infestation. What the small bees do, the bumblebees, and I really like that. You know how they've been beating the Asian hornets by ganging up on them and smothering them and going like this with their body, and the heat that they generate kills the Asians. So that was the whole point, Peter. So if you see somebody, an Asian bug, I want you to get that bug and go like this to him, and you'll kill him.
What happened to Mr. Warren?
That is Mr. Warren.
Rude. Al spoke about direct flights from U.S. to Sicily possibly happening this summer. Yes.
New York to Palermo.
It's what is it called? EOS. There is one company. Company.
There's New York to Palermo, but that's it. Only New York to Palermo.
Okay, let me read this one.
All right, here's another question for you.
Okay, this is from Diana Martin.
Swiss Air.
No, Swiss Air does not.
Swiss Air though comes, but
Swiss Air does not.
Mike uses Swiss Air. Yeah.
How do we figure out the local trains? We bought a house in Balestrate, which is in the province of Palermo. We are waiting husband's dual citizens. What insurance should we buy? Okay. So I'm not sure what you mean, what insurance for what. I'm guessing you're talking about health insurance. Local trains, believe it or not, they're very good with
Yeah,
trains
they
and
are.
buses. There's buses going everyone. Trains obviously don't go to every town, but it's very easy. If you go to uh, uh, Italia, trenoitalia.it, they have all the passages of the trains here in Sicily. It's very easy to use. And then there's other bus companies, several bus companies that do private driving from town to town. So it's very much accessible.
It's far more accessible, in my view, than the United States. People are culturally attuned to using the
Yes,
train here.
true.
I mean, and it's cheap as hell too. And the train stations, a lot of them are clean, beautiful, well lit, and safe. Completely different story than in some of the places in the United States. Better here, not there.
The prices are out of control in South Florida. Many things are doable. The price just that it was just a year ago. That's
Double.
one of
I should say double the price.
Yeah.
Double the price. Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I want to leave the U.S. But it's happening everywhere.
Do you really want to leave the U.S.? I mean, that's a very interesting question. And one of these days, I'm going to spend some time talking about that, about leaving the United States. Why would you want to leave the most important and powerful country in the history of the world? What you'd want to do is probably split your time between here and there. I think that's probably the best thing. I don't think you ought to give up United States citizenship.
No, you should
I
never
think
do
that'd be
that.
a bad move on anybody's part. If they say, screw this because of this president or that president, I'm moving to Italy.
Okay.
I think that's bad.
I agree.
Okay,
Listen,
that's just my
Silvio says,
Silvio.
I hate pasta barilla. It's shouted out by the quality altogether is pretty much low. Hey, I want to know, Silvio, what's your favorite? I want to know.
Poiati. I bet you was going to say Poiati. Pasta Poiati. I like that.
On the Brody Mountain grows a special kind of suno nero. Its meat is simply delicious.
Yep.
We've got
The
Candace
sausage from
here.
that pig is simply delicious too.
We've got a good showing here today. Neos, thank you. That's it. Neos. Jane, that's right.
NEOS. Neos. Good one.
We recently watched The Lions of Sicily with English. That is a great suggestion. Actually, someone else suggested that as well. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Who said not a big fan of Stanley
Our
Tucci?
friend Jennifer.
I love Jennifer.
I'm coming with my family, staying San Vito La Capo and Cefalù.
You're going to have a great time there. They have that ice cream. It's, what do they call it? Caldo Freddo. It's basically an ice cream sundae. You know, you have gelato and then they put some hot sauce on top of it. It's not all over the place in Sicily, but they have a great job. They do a great job over there in San Vito Lo Capo.
Given the backlog with processing citizenship here in North America, is there an option to get citizenship right in Italy? My mom was born in Italy.
The answer to that question is yes, but you have to go to the comune pretty much where your ancestor is from. The problem is those people there don't know how to process the applications or are intimidated to do it, okay? And many places they get rejected, not because they had their paperwork is wrong, but rather because the clerk who's handling paperwork doesn't know what they're doing. I think that there's changes that are going to be coming down the pike in a year or two. So if I were you, I would process my stuff in the United States, wait until you get an appointment, and then if you really got to move here, okay, then you can do it. But then the question is that you have to answer yourself, and I'll say this to you again and again, why do you want to become an Italian citizen? Okay, what are your reasons? How are you, as an expat coming here as a new citizen, how are you going to help the Italian community in general? Okay, what's the reason? Because this is a foreign country. An Italian American is not an Italian. There are vast cultural differences. Don't you agree with that?
I think we should move on.
Okay.
A lot of our friends, like Jody, have done it, like Jerry. Anthony, a number of them have